Record. Okay. All right, perfect. So welcome you guys to another episode of New Rich, New Energy. As we speak on the platform of all truth and nothing but the truth, getting the message out here, you guys. Super excited today. Have an amazing, amazing sister who kindly took the opportunity to come on here and kind of share her story and her message and what she's doing to not only heal herself and heal the world. She's an aura soma practitioner, also deals with Reiki, healing energy, and a lot of other little talents that we're going to get into. But let me go ahead and introduce you guys. Warm welcome to Freedom Jennings. Natsan bienvenidos.
Hey, bienvenidos.
How are we doing today this morning?
Thank you. How are you?
I am amazing. As we were speaking on today is the energetic influence of conversation. So I think it's apropos, using big words this morning. But yeah, I wanted to bring this sister on because actually, just to kind of you guys understand our connection, is I seen her on social media, and I mean the divinity of light that she amplifies, I mean, is you can't help not to smile or laugh when she posts stuff. And it's very genuine and from a place of truth and from a heart space. And I just simply wanted to interview her so we can kind of get her message, her story, what she's doing to heal others, and have an amazing, amazing video. So without further ado, Miss Freedom, if you want to let the listening participants, our brothers and sisters, kind of give a little background of your story, share a little bit where you came from and where you are now, and just go with the flow.
Sure. So let's see. I come from the School of Hard Knocks. That one. Which I think most people who do healing work are from. Like most of us have had quite a bit of trauma or some experiences in our life that have kind of caused us to shift into this, and especially a lot of us who do energy work, I feel like, and who are psychic, like when we come in and we already have these psychic gifts and abilities, and we tend to, I think, I don't know, that seems to a lot of times correspond with we end up having a lot of trauma. I feel like most of the people that I work with, or even my clients and things like that, I find, we're all relatively psychologically sensitive, and most of us have had a lot of opportunities to grow.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I believe people who are really doing the true energetic work out here, healing, whatever form of gift that is, come from a place of trauma or some place of negativity that we just transmute, and lo and behold. I know you said you do a lot of Reiki energy healing. If you want to kind of expand on that, especially for people who've never heard of it, or,
Sure. So Reiki is just like a gentle energy that comes through. Now, Reiki is like passed down through tradition. So you're given like these symbols, and then you access that energy and are able to share it with others. And I am a trained Reiki master, but actually I started doing energy work more when I was a kid because I was very connected with Christ or Christ consciousness. Like I was always connected with Jesus. I remember being separated from Christ consciousness and making the choice to enter into the womb and things like that. And so I was always able to work with that energy. So I did that since I was younger, a lot younger, and would be able to just do like laying hands on and healing people. And what I've realized as I've gotten my Reiki training and my other work and doing my other stuff, that I actually connect with a lot of different ascended masters. And I work a lot with, when I have a client, for example, then basically what I do is just move myself out of the way. And I say, Lord, make me a channel of your peace. And I just move the ego, the self out of the way, and just become a conduit of energy, so that it's just a healing energy of whatever people need. And then I receive like messages and things like that, if that makes sense. So I think different energy work looks different, but that's what it generally looks like with me. And you can a lot of times feel tingling, or even, I do this thing. Sometimes people will just get uploads just from the energy work to where they're understanding like this universal wisdom.
no,
I think
No, what
And
was that?
it's called samadhi, I think, and like Hindu tradition.
No, absolutely. Like you said, like true form of shamanism. And for people who don't know, like, and I don't know, you can kind of elaborate on this when you're laying hands or you're doing your practices, at times you don't even have to touch the physical body. Is that correct?
Yeah, because a lot of the stuff that's going on is in the, astral field or a little bit in the emotional body. And so, like for me, I would feel around to where the different energies are blocking or anything. And so we might not even lay hands on the body. Some, probably oftentimes we do at some point, but yeah, you're doing work on a lot of different energetic fields.
No, absolutely. Like one thing I know because my hands heal as well, I'm kind of crafting that in my path. But for people to understand, like these are portals, just like your mouth was a portal, your sole of your foot, which is your soul, in Spanish being alma, meaning your palms. So your hands are a portal for projecting or giving or receiving energetic light. So I think it's very important the work that you're doing. And as far as the aura, you said it was aura soma practitioner. I'm learning something new with you guys. So kind of elaborate on what kind of work that is.
Um, that's a little better if it's visual, so maybe we should send you a picture too at some point. But essentially, it's this color system of it's these bottles that were created by this amazing woman named Vicki Wall in 1985. She's since deceased, but she's amazing, amazing. And there's 122 bottles now, and basically they all have these different colors. They're made with crystals, intention, essential oils, herbal extracts. And I do readings with them. It's almost like tarot card, but my client picks out, like I ask questions and the client picks the different bottles that align with them. And because they're picking from their higher consciousness, because it bypasses the ego, then they're picking the colors that resonate with them. And so I could see like what kind of aura they have, like what their soul looks like on the other side. A lot of times, like things about their past lives or the guides that they're working with, things they're doing awesome at, where they're having challenges, where any hiccups have been, if it's in this life, last life, things like that. It's really interesting.
No, that sounds very so. But if I kind of understand, so you're basically channeling or interpreting the energetic construct of an individual through the colors. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way of describing it. It's hard to describe.
Yeah, like you said, maybe I'll put some visuals or because I've seen your work, I know exactly what you're speaking of, but maybe throughout the video I might post a picture or something so people get that visual aspect. So.
Yeah, it's really pretty fun, and the cool part is that you can actually put the stuff on the body. And there's also, just like we're talking about, you have your emotional body and like your astral body and stuff like that. Actually, that has other things that work in these other levels too to help keep protection and keep our energy clear. But the cool part about the Orasoma bottles is that you can put them on your body. Like you can purchase one and put it on your body. And what it helps do is just like, the food we eat, it creates, health in our body or well-being or transforms things. So this is just the same, you're putting something on your skin, but this helps to transform your cellular structure. So it helps like kind of releasing the gunk that gets stuck in there that.
No, I can totally, that right there, as you see what I post, I'm totally a believer. And I, not even a believer, but I know that for you to heal, not only is it mental and spiritual, but it's also physical. Just like you said, we have these hidden traumas that are underneath these epidermal layers that, when you start releasing trauma, you don't even realize how skin deep literally it gets. You know what I mean? So, no, absolutely.
I'm a past life person. And so, like I can remember things that are traumas from people from my past. And then even when I'm working with people, not every time it's a past life thing, but a lot of times the healing work that I do, I end up going with them into a past life to do healing work on the past life to bring it back to heal in this life. So, I mean, we have so much stuff stored in our bodies, including like our ancestors' stuff. So, yeah, it's nice to have.
No, absolutely. It's all in the DNA. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So before we get into this communication thing, so like you explained at the very beginning, you're always connected. You know what I mean? When did you really kind of like step into this field, have the understanding, having the truth, and start actually doing these physical works to manifest healing? Like, where did that all start for you?
Um, Probably about 14 years ago yesterday, because I got sober. I had gone through like a really intense period of my life from the ages of 11 to 26. um, and then I got sober, and and I had a lot of mental health issues that I was diagnosed with. And I realized that I wasn't going to get better doing the path that I was doing. And I felt very sensitive to the world. And it was like I was trying to use things to escape because I was so sensitive. And, we still, like, we use a lot of things for escapism. I still can do that today. But I started having to change my life. I started meditating. I started doing a lot of work on myself. And I had been reading tarot since I was 14. I've been reading tarot 26 years now, I guess. I don't know, I'm 40, however long that is. So I had been reading tarot a long time, but I was using it for like, I don't know, silly stuff. How's this party gonna go? And I started using it to uncover more of the shadow self. And I started doing a lot of work kind of based on Carl Jung's work, on understanding the shadow self, understanding archetypes. Actually, I teach classes on shadow work.
Nice. Okay. No, I'll definitely post that for the viewers. So
Do that. And but yeah, so I guess I just had to start, like, we get to a point, I think, a breaking point where it's like we have to shit or get off the pot. So we kind of have to, like, I had to make the choices to start moving into, I don't know, alignment with my purpose and things. And I was either going to die, or I was going to start living a different life, of my purpose and being more in touch with spirit and with myself. And so I did that one.
you chose life.
I chose life, and it wasn't always easy, but I've been doing it. Like, I've been doing this work a long time, and now, and it's so worth it.
No, and it shows. It's just in your expressions. Even when you do your little funny skits, you can tell that you're full of life and you found that enthusiasm. And I think that's what people are looking for. They're looking for that spark. They're looking for that, that sign or that feeling. And that's what enthusiasm is. Like, if you break that word down, enthusiasm, it's really God within us. So when we understand that Christ consciousness within us, that's that enthusiasm. And look where it takes you, you know what I mean, on your journey or your start getting connected. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about. We syncretized this morning. And of course, I was letting her know what she's already aware of. She's wearing her stone. Today's Wednesday. If people don't know, of course, I'm big on astrology, but it's ruled by Mercury, which is the luminescence intelligence of communication. So amazing how this lined up on a Wednesday, and kind of share what's on your heart, because you said that's what you wanted to speak about. So it's kind of going to there.
I was just thinking this morning about, right now in the world, there's so much division. I mean, there's been division, and there's a purpose of division and contrast, in order, like, if we have this contrast, then we're able to step into something more light. The darkness helps us step into light when we can see it and understand it. But I was thinking about how divisive we are right now. And even I see it even amongst friends and things like that oftentimes. And I was thinking about the importance of communication, and how I think even in the digital age, we might be more, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. And I was thinking how we tend to maybe be a little more, we just leave things very easily. Like, oh, this doesn't serve me, I'm just going to walk away. Like, we don't communicate. Like, we don't want to express conflict, right? So we want to shove conflict. And this isn't new either. I mean, humans, I think a lot of us want to shove conflict under the rug instead of addressing it. And I think that's because maybe we haven't really been taught how to have effective communication, or how to listen with compassion or share with compassion. And so what I find is that then And most of my relationships, my inner circle, I would say, isn't really like this, but I do find that a lot of times communication barriers break down where we're not willing to communicate because we don't want to address conflict. And I was thinking about how that impacts us as like a larger whole. So if on my in my daily relationships, I'm not willing to say, these are my needs and let's hear your needs. And I really want to hear you and really showing up. I want to really be present with you. Oh, is there a problem? Let's really dive into it and talk about what you're feeling about that and how to navigate my feelings. And that way we can come to an understanding because we all want to be understood. You know, we all want connection. We all want to be understood. We all want to be accepted for how we are. And a lot of times, even if we can't see eye to eye with someone and we know that we need to part ways or something, as long as there's some sort of effective communication, it can still be a healing experience that doesn't cause more division and can bring more unity. And I was thinking about how much the planet needs unity right now. And so, how important compassionate communication is.
No, that's a beautiful thought. Kind of what's going on through my mind. I think like you said, at the core of communication, it really starts from your upbringing. You know what I mean? Like you said, like even in my situation, I didn't have healthy communication. You know what I mean? So as we continue to progress and grow, we don't even know how to communicate simply. You know what I mean? Just with another individual, just have a conversation. And I think a lot more too, there's so many layers to it, but I think a lot more too is what I've come to understand and my path with relationships, family, friends, things of that nature. It's not the conversation, but like you're saying, it's the comprehension of the conversation.
Yeah.
Because people always say conversation is key. Like that does it's thrown out the window. That's not what it is. I think it's comprehension of the conversation you're having with that individual, that interaction, because you guys can be speaking on a certain subject, but if they're not even comprehending what you're saying, is like speaking to a wall. You know what I mean? So a lot of it is in the comprehension. I think it's just really understanding to the core, the intention coming from a love space, letting others voluntarily evolve. That's what love means to me. You know what I mean? So when you have that understanding and that truth, you're really going to be hearing somebody. You're just not going to be listening. You're going to hear them and really be in tune to really what their feelings and needs are in that exchange of words. So
Yeah. And I think if we're listening from our heart space to really understand another person, even just even just that creates enough space to where there's less division, you know, even just knowing like I really want to hear you. Like I may not understand, I may not have even the same feelings, but I want to try and understand. I want to try and see you. You know, I want to try and see you deeply and know who you are and know where you're coming from. And I think just that alone, and like that doesn't even mean that we always have to agree with each other, right? There's so many things like that wants to like pit us against each other and things in the world want to pit us against each other. But we're all human. I find that we all connect on some level because we all have a lot of basic desires of being seen and heard, understood, being loved, being cared for. And these are like so much more important than so many of these other things that we can just break down barriers. I feel like, yeah, even just from being like, I want to see you, you know, like I see you're suffering. And what I'm noticing is that the more people are kind of suffocating and not communicating how they're feeling because like, oh, it would just be easier to not have conflict. It would just be easier to not say anything. Then they're starting a war within themselves. And as within, so without. So it's almost like we perpetuate this division then. And when we're trying to create unity, like we're trying to create peace by not saying something, or, you know, instead we create more war within ourselves and more war within the other person. I don't know. Does that make sense?
no, that does make sense. And like for me being a Capricorn, I'm very structural. So I think on another level too is that I don't know if you want to elaborate on this or do you agree what your thoughts are, but structurally, this is, it's been like this for a long time, and they're actually like desensitizing us through technology. Once upon a time, everything was verbal. This is a gift. Our words, the logos, this is breath. People were able to communicate, and actually talk. Now we're using our fingertips, and everybody just wants to text, which is like an artificial way of communication, which a lot of times is misinterpreted. And it's not the natural way of communicating, but they're structurally engineering and teaching, especially the youth, that's how you communicate, is through text, through emojis, through things of that nature. And that is not the natural law. That's not the natural way how we're constructed. We need to be able to start, like me and you, like, or anybody, having a simple conversation with words being expressed in the physical. So I don't know what you think about that, but that's kind of how I see things sometimes. It's that AI, artificial energy that we're moving into. And so many people are like kind of falling for that, and they need to get back to their roots and understand, hey, just pick up the phone and talk. A lot of people don't even want to talk no more. They just send you a text. Okay, cool. Like it's weird energy,
Yeah.
So
I think that texting probably has its place, like, hey, I'm on my way.
mhm.
But this is funny because whenever I'm on the phone and I've had a lot of people comment on this when I'm texting. So if I'm texting somebody, I smile and they say, "Why are you smiling?" I could be like, "Hi, how are you doing today? Your appointment is at blah 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 time or whatever." And I'm like, and they're like, "What are you?" I'm like, "Well, your energy still goes through in the text, and texts are so hard to read the energy. I don't want it to be confusing, so I use a lot of exclamation marks. Hi, because that's how I am. I'm bubbly. Hi. But it is, it's hard to get like convey that through text. So I always think, well, since I can't convey through text, I should try and hold my energy, at least what I'm trying to.
No, the intention's there, but yeah, just like I said, it's texting now can be so misinterpreted. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And it's just something that I think about all the time, and of course seeing kind of where things are going. But yeah, like I think as far as communication and creating that unity, um, behind the scenes, they're just continuing to implement psychology wise, like different ways to cause division, especially with this whole, pandemic, keeping people enclosed. Like it really has an effect on the psyche and the heart. You know what I mean? So I think that's another, it's just so many layers to it that they continue to compound humanity, where, you need to kind of see through that with the third eye and say, okay, no, that's not what the heaven on earth, the paradise that I'm creating, the new earth that I'm creating. I'm still going to use my senses the way it was supposed to be used, verbally communicating, understanding, listening, and feeling. So
I love that.
absolutely, I keep it simple. I try to, you know what I mean? But sometimes even the most simplest things, that's one of my biggest phrases. I tell people, like, because just like you said, you can be conversating, we're never going to agree on anything or some things, which is okay. Everybody has different perspective, people have different truths. But if you,
Cool.
yeah, as long as you come from that place of non-detachment, you know what I mean? It's totally fine, because I might learn something from you and it might expand my thinking or my consciousness. So you got to have that openness. And that's what I tell people, like, we're in the age of information, so being ignorant is no longer an excuse. Like that's out the window. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You got to go out there and take this responsibility that's been given to you, and this authority, and learn. Learn who you are, remember who you are, and start activating. You know what I mean? And I started taking everything from face value and getting upset in a conversation. So it's like it's weird. It's weird.
It's a lot easier too, I think, when like Ram Dass used to say, everyone you meet is God in drag. And you think about it like that, like from my perspective, from from my understanding and from my memories, we're all one. We're all like part of God. We're all one in this Christ consciousness. Of course, we're all different. If we have to learn and experience ourselves, like it's like God just experiencing itself,
Right.
through us and for me. And so, of course, we're all going to be different. And how cool, like that we can celebrate. But we're like, it's at the core, we're all that love. At the core, we're all love. And then, but we have these other differences just to learn and grow and play and have fun and experience. And we have to have those those differences. But when we can talk about it, I think we kind of move ourselves back into the core. Like when we can talk about it from compassion and I'll say even, I don't tend to have the troubles in my life where there's very much conflict. Most people I meet are very easy, even if we have different ideas. I'm hugging people. I'm like, let's hug. Hi, how are you? I'm a hugger. Let's get in there and touch each other and, and love on each other. I'm gonna probably pet on your hand a little bit and, and and just love you because this is God. Like anytime I'm having the opportunity to spend time up to even today, I'm talking to God right now.
Mhm.
How cool is that? Just another aspect of God that I never got to sit and visit with before.
Yeah, we're all no, absolutely. And that's another thing I admire seriously about you is you bring the fun and that pure love to everything, in your expressions and your posts. And I think sometimes people get too serious, you know what I mean? And they forget to have a little bit of fun with it. You know what I mean? It's okay
Oh,
to have. Oh, I know. I know you are. I'm telling you, in the dictionary, yeah, you're it. You're it. I love it. I love it. Every time, like I see you come through my feed, like it's a genuine place, and it just makes me smile and laugh. And that's one of the things I appreciate about you. That's why I wanted to have you on this podcast,
thanks.
kind of exemplify that energy. You know,
And I have darkness, and this is what I
absolutely.
show.
Absolutely.
Like, I tell them, and it's like we have to be able, like, the more willing we are, I think, because and people will say, "Oh, you're so joyful and bubbly," and I say it's because I'm willing to look at my darkness, and even media used to, I would even show all of those things because I wanted to communicate. I wanted to share with people so they knew that they weren't alone. So even when I was going through very serious depressions, and most of the people that I follow me and things like that, a lot of them I've been communicating with on Instagram for 10 years. So they saw me in some pits of despair, too, as well as my joy. But I think being able to say, this is me. And when I'm working with clients, I say, yeah, I know that suffering. I can relate that. I understand suffering. And the more that we're even willing to talk about it with others, talk about the suffering, talk about the hard things, the more we can stand in the light, the more we know that we're not alone, the more that we can start to embrace these aspects of ourselves that we've kind of fragmented from or pushed to the side. And I think communication is just so, and that heartfelt communication is so important. So I always say, like, the reason that I can be so light or joyful is because I've been in the other place,
Right.
been in hell. And even in the Bible it would talk about like heaven is here,
Right.
so heaven or hell is here where we're creating it in a way. And I think that peaceful communication can lead such a way to being in such a heaven, you know?
And I think really too, like I'm a true believer, like authenticity, being raw in your nature, in yourself, and who you are. And you can see that from people like yourself. Like people got to understand there, like you said, there's a dichotomy within us. There's a male, female, negative, positive, however you want to look at it. There's that balance, that duality, that Jesus, that devil, however you want to exemplify it, right? In words. And like you said, when you really start taking the time to go in and do that work, people like, shadow work, things of that nature, you understand that's where the life is birthed. That light will be birthed from darkness. And as far as communication, I think people kind of keep it on a 3D level too, and they don't understand that communication is just not verbal.
Oh yeah.
Like yourself, you like to touch. That's a form of communication. You like to feel. It's another form of, like me, I like to cook food and show people visually. Through food, I communicate. So there's so many different levels of communication once you kind of take the physical senses away that you can communicate in so many ways and not only change yourself, but change others. You know what I mean? So
It's so fun.
it
It is. Even and this is fun.
is, it is.
I teach classes on hard subjects like shadow work. I teach about grief a lot, how to grieve. And sometimes I have to catch myself because I'm be like, all right, we're gonna talk about shadow work today. We're gonna really get into this deep, ugly stuff. Which isn't, but
They're like, why are you so excited?
I know. It's in why I get excited about things like that is because I know what's on the other side.
Right.
You know, on the other side of being willing to be that open and vulnerable with self, with others. And I've had a lot of people, I guess, comment on that. Maybe sometimes I share too much, or I'm very open, but I like to be open, and I like to share because people know they're not alone. And then they know that they can open up and be vulnerable too. And then we have more heart space communication that we can share with each other. So the more that I'm willing to say, hey, these are things that I'm going through, you know, and if we even it can be even enlightening, I think, or lighten things up, I guess, if we recognize when we're growing through things that those experiences are going to help us get to connect with others in a deeper, more meaningful way. Like about 6 months ago, I was going through a divorce, and I had such a hard time. I laid on my biomat in my healing room and cried for about 3 weeks straight, I think. And my friends would say, oh, why are you grieving? I'd say, I'm not done yet. And I need to understand this better because this is what I help clients with. And I'm going to really feel every single inch of my grief. And so I love you, but I'm just going to lay here and cry for like a little bit and understand. And then out of that, I've been able to communicate with others more deeply on grief, and especially in terms of like specific types of partnerships and things like that. It's been really cool. So if we allow the pain in our life to transform us and to touch us, then we can help others while they're suffering, and help them in our communication and making people feel less alone, because communication can help us feel less alone.
No, absolutely. And just like you said, like it's lessons that you had to go through, that you had to feel and receive, and then allow yourself in your form and fashion to transmute that energy. And it's going to be heartfelt when you come across an individual who's actually going through the same situation. Like you got to go through these life lessons this is all experiences, you know what I mean? And you got to take the good out of it, just like you did. And I think as far as communication too, it's like, you know, the word commute, like I'm big on etymology on words and the origins. I just love it. But if you really look at that word communication, it's a communion. It's a partnership between two people. And it's, you know, and sometimes just being in that heart space, not even saying anything in silence is a form of communication. You see? So it's a communion of the heart. So,
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes you can have some of the best communication like that.
no, absolutely. It's some of the best. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so many words without even being spoken. So, because
Have
you're
you ever,
right. Huh?
sorry, I was just gonna say, have you ever done like deep eye meditation with someone?
I haven't done it with someone, but I do it to myself in the mirror.
Yeah, I love that. I love
I actually do. Like I try to stay there and see how long I can look at myself, you know, because there was a point in time where I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. And then
that.
even subconsciously, I didn't even want to look at myself. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? But
yeah.
yeah,
I know.
you know what I mean? So yeah, I've learned even with my own self for like just to look at myself and just be present and just look and see how long I can look at myself and walk on, you know what I mean? But I've never done it with another person.
Yeah. I've only done it a little bit. It can be kind of challenging because it's like a whole different form of intimacy in a way. But I was just thinking about that when we were speaking about the silence, and that that's interesting. That's an interesting concept. I might start bringing in more. But it's kind of like that. Just even when we get to talk to each other, I really like how you were talking about nonverbal cues and things that we do nonverbally. Um, eye contact is important. When I'm talking with people, I want to have my phone away. I want to have the things away. I want to be looking in, the person I'm talking to's eyes. I
Focused.
want to hear them, see them. That is such a cool thing. But thinking about doing that silently, that's interesting. Does it give you the heebie-jeebies?
Um, yeah,
I do.
yeah, it does. Like I'm telling you, there's power in silence. You know what I mean? And of course, that's really expressed or felt, when one, goes into a meditation, or I like to call it reflectiveness, you know what I mean? In that silence, there is power. And it's funny because everything is kind of synchronizing. This morning on Facebook, I'm going through it, and there's like a picture with a message. And my phone is full of screenshots. I don't know when I'm going to send them out, but it's full of screenshots, right? And I screenshot this thing where it said, um, eye contact is the highest form of intimacy, which is so crazy because seriously, like I'll show it to you here, but yeah, it's just it's a synergy or syncretism between two eyes, and it's like I said, I'm looking into try to do it with somebody else, not that you're talking about it, but it's even a challenge for myself. So I can see where you're saying it's challenging and
Yeah.
kind
I'm thinking about that now. I'm like, this is interesting.
of, who would have known? Who would have
It's
known?
a good thing. I was noticing this actually. This is interesting. Uh, it may be slightly off the subject, but I've been going dancing like the last 3 weeks, I guess, and I hadn't been dancing so long, and I've never danced with partners ever until 3 weeks ago. And so I'm dancing, and I found this group of people who are just amazing magical dancers, and this is like what they do, and they've been so kind as to like start teaching me how to do things. And it's so much about eye contact, and I was noticing how in that realm of the world, like even when I'm talking with people and I'm doing my work, I'm like very good at having eye contact and this. And for some reason, in this situation, I found it a little disconcerting. And and I'm going to be thinking about this now for our next dancing, because I'm going to be thinking about this is really communication when we're speaking with our eyes. Even in this dancing, this is why eye contact between the dancers I can notice is so important, because you're talking to each other.
No, absolutely. I can kind of elaborate being Puerto Rican, like we do salsa, bachata, merengue. Eye contact and your hands are the two connectors
Yeah.
of a language that you're expressing that comes naturally. Like you don't have to talk and tell your partner, hey, I'm gonna swing you around. That's not how that type of dancing works. It's a different type of communication. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's more intuitive. So no, that's why like bachata, which is, for people who don't know, it's the real slow one. It's a two-step. You're right here in the heart space. You're feeling each other. You're looking at each other's eyes, and just rhythmically, you guys will just move naturally to the next step without even saying anything. So it's another, yeah,
Oh
simple.
my, making me really excited about doing some new like practicing with some dancing.
It's I'm telling you, there's healing. Yeah, it's. I don't know how we got down this road, but yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm
Like,
gender.
no, like, and if you kind of like, it's weird because if you kind of think about it, like I'm pondering it too. Like when you're even in the past, like when I've had conversations with certain individuals, I couldn't even look them in the eye. You know what I mean? Or even like with my kids, they're grown now. You know what I mean? But when there's situations where they did something they weren't supposed to do, and I'm trying to talk to them, they would look, they could not make eye contact
Yeah.
because you know what I'm saying. So I think yeah, looking at somebody and really focusing and seeing them, seeing past the eyes, but seeing them, there's a lot of power in that. There's a message there somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to be thinking about this and how we're, even just the body and how we're communicating. I think this is one of the things that breaks down, especially lately, how people aren't really wanting to touch and stuff. I've maybe only had, I'm going to say probably two people who didn't just want to come in and give me a bear hug. And I meet a lot of people, and people are craving that. I notice that people are craving that kind of communication, that kind of touch, that type of it's about connection, really, right? you know so and I notice that everyone wants a big bear hug and to just be like really held for a minute.
No,
I feel
it's so much. There's so much truth in that because they've created a false reality of isolation. So just imagine over the last couple of years, people have been isolated not only from people in their own homes themselves, but family members and friends, there's no physical interaction. So people, like you said, people are craving that physicality, like of just touching somebody else because they've created this falsehood. Be careful, 6 feet. You know what I mean? So it's a deception, and you know, it's a beautiful thing like you're doing. And I think we constitute that, like we attract. You're gonna attract that type of energy. So yeah, give it out. Dish it out.
Yeah, give away. There's a great MC Yogi song about that. It's called "Give Love," and I love it. It's a good one. If you haven't heard it.
No, you're gonna have to send that to me. I've never heard it. So let's do this because we're coming up on the hour. We've shared a lot. I appreciate you sharing from your heart. I know you're located in Austin, Texas, correct?
Um,
Okay, so if for viewers who are in the Texas area who are watching, kind of give a shout out to where you do your work and your practices and your healing. If you want to do that, I'm also going to put it in the comments. So if people want to reach out, if they have a question, if they want to do one of your works, I'll provide that here in the link. So where's it?
and we're at home, and then I also do practitioner work at Nature's Treasures like twice a month. That's here, and it's a giant crystal store here in town. And I do like I volunteer for a charity event at the first Saturday of every month, where there's a lot of different healers doing.
Nice, nice. Do you have a website that you want to?
It's allpathslead.com.
I'll put it in the description, you guys. Social media, Facebook.
All of those things.
So
Yeah.
all,
I even did a TikTok, although I don't know what I'm doing, and there's only like 5.
oh my God, TikTok is a different animal. I started it. Yeah, it's a different. It's different. It's different. I'm getting used to it myself. It's different.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate everything. I appreciate the time for coming out, being on the podcast, and kind of ending this. Is there any kind of like final thought, anything on your heart, a message that you want to give out to the people that you want to speak on real quickly, and we'll end it.
I don't think I have any message other than, I guess, everyone just to remember that you're doing the best you can with what you got, and where you're at is perfect. You don't have to do any better. You're doing great. Even if today is like that, that's okay today. It's not going to be like that every day. It's going to be better. And where you're at is always okay. It's like remembering we're always in the right place at the right time, even if it doesn't make sense. And I wanted to add too, I'm really grateful for you doing it and for inviting me, for the lovely talk, and not minding me meandering.
No, you're fine. And for people to know, she was unaware. She didn't know it was going to be live. I threw a curveball at her. But no, like I said, everybody knows who I bring to this space. It's just to share this consciousness, this truth, this love, and continue to expand to the masses. And I want to thank you again, sister, for your time. So
Thank you for sharing your food.
yeah, I'm always cooking. I'm always cooking it up. So once again, you guys, brothers and sisters who are watching, I want to thank you guys. If you have any questions, any comments, of course, leave it down below, and I'll leave the links for Freedom. So if you want to connect with her, that will be available to you. So like I said, when you know better, you do better, and you guys go out there and have an amazing day. Satnam.